This is an excerpt from the introduction to The More Than Complete Hitchhiker's Guide by Douglas Adams. The radio series began in England in March 1978. The first series consisted of 6 programs, or FITs as they were called. FITs 1 through 6. Easy. Later that year, one more episode was recorded and broadcast, commonly known as the Christmas episode. It contained no reference of any kind to Christmas. It was called the Christmas episode because it was first broadcast on December 24th, which is not Christmas Day. After this, things began to get increasingly complicated. In fall of 1979, the first Hitchhiker's Guide book was published in England, called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It was a substantially expanded version of the first 4 episodes of the radio series, in which some of the characters behaved in entirely different ways, and others behaved in exactly the same ways, but for entirely different reasons, which amounts to the same thing, but saves rewriting the dialogue. At roughly the same time, a double record album was released, which was, by contrast, a slightly contracted version of the first 4 episodes of the radio series. These were not the recordings that were originally broadcast, but wholly new recordings of substantially the same scripts. This was done because we had used music off gramophone records as incidental music for the series, which is fine on radio, but makes commercial release impossible. In January 1980, 5 new episodes of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy were broadcast on BBC Radio, all in 1 week, bringing the total number to 12 episodes. In the fall of 1980, the second Hitchhiker book was published in England, around the same time that Harmony Books published the first book in the United States. It was a very substantially reworked, re-edited, and contracted versions of episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5, and 6, in that order, of the radio series The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In case that seemed too straightforward, the book was called The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, because it included material from radio episode 5 of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was set in a restaurant called Milliways, otherwise known as The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. At roughly the same time, a second album was made featuring a heavily rewritten and expanded version of episodes 5 and 6 of the radio series. This record album was also called The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Meanwhile, 6 television episodes of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was made by the BBC and broadcast in January 1981. This was based, more or less, on the first 6 episodes of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And, in other words, it incorporated most of the first book and the second half of the book, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Therefore, though it followed the basic structure of the radio series, it incorporated revisions from the books, which didn't. In January 1982, Harmony Books published The Restaurant at the End of the Universe in the United States. In the summer of 1982, a third Hitchhiker book was published simultaneously in England and the United States, called Life, the Universe, and Everything. This was not based on anything that had already been heard or seen on television or radio. In fact, it flatly contracted episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the radio series. These episodes of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you will remember, had already been incorporated in revised form in the book, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. At this point, I went to America to write a film screenplay which was completely inconsistent with most of what had gone on so far. And since that film was then delayed in the making, a rumor currently has it that filming will start shortly before The Last Trump. I wrote a 4th and last book in the trilogy. So long, and thanks for all the fish. This was published in Britain and the USA in the fall of 1984, and it effectively contradicted everything up to and including itself. As if this were all not enough, I wrote a computer game for Infocom called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which bore only fleeting resemblances to anything that had previously gone under that title, and in collaboration with Jeffrey Perkins assembled The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the original radio scripts, published in England and the USA in 1985. Now, this was an interesting venture. The book is, as the title suggests, a collection of all the radio scripts as broadcast, and is therefore the only example of one Hitchhiker publication accurately and consistently reflecting another. I feel a little bit uncomfortable with this, which is why the introduction to that book was written after the final and definitive one you are now reading, and of course, flatly contradicts it. People often ask me how they can leave the planet, so I have prepared some brief notes. How to leave the planet. Number 1. Phone NASA. Their phone number is 713-483-3111. Explain that it's very important that you get away as soon as possible. 2. If they do not cooperate, phone any friend you may have in the White House, 202-456-1414, to have a word on your behalf with the guys at NASA. 3. If you don't have any friends in the White House, phone the Kremlin. Ask the overseas operator for 0107-095-295-9051. They don't have any friends there either, at least none to speak of, but they do have a little influence, so you might as well try. 4. If that also fails, phone the Pope for guidance. His telephone number is 011-396-6982, and I gather his switchboard is infallible. Number 5. If all these attempts fail, flag down a passing flying saucer and explain that it's vitally important you get away before your phone bill arrives. Douglas Adams, Los Angeles 1983, and London 1985/1986.